Everybody, welcome to Shane's Book Addiction. Your host, Sandman Shane Spoonie, along with my good buddy, the Honorable Jeff. And
Tripped over those words, did you?
This is where I elucidate Jeff on the books that I read. Yeah, words not always work good, Jeff. So, and today we're talking about the second book of the Greenbone saga, Jade War. Wow, sorry guys. On the first episode, I think it was, of this show, we talked about Jade City, and so now we're talking about Jade War, which is its sequel, and this is going to be a trilogy. The third book comes out exactly 6 months from today, as we're recording this. It comes out November 30th of 2021.
So I'm excited to hear what happens in this. If you haven't saw it, go back on our channel and take a look at the podcast we did before we started doing video for Jade City. And as Shane was explaining that book and how everything worked out, and I need to stop being in a rocking chair because I'm just constantly doing it. But as he's explaining it, of course, the beginning was kind of like, ugh, and then it hit a stride. And after it hit that stride, I loved every second of it. And I have been so excited to hear how it goes from the ending of Jade City into the beginning of Jade War. And right now, I get to find out. I'm so excited. Yay.
No, not right now yet. I just saw that.
Oh,
I also wanted to mention that I just saw that Jade City has been optioned by NBC's Peacock streaming service to create a television series based on the Greenbone saga, or at least on the first novel, Jade City. So that's interesting.
And like I told you, I base a book on whether I'd like to watch it, and that was one of the ones I'd like to watch. That one and Shadow of the Gods are two books that I would really like to actually watch the show.
I guess the question with this is, is something, this Peacock channel where is going to be like a destination place for people to watch this kind of stuff on, and I'm not sure that's the case. Although one of the producers is Frank Eisner, who also produced The Expanse. So, and that's a very good show if you have not watched that yet. So, that's interesting. And actually, I have The Expanse novels on my TBR for next year. So we'll probably talk about those novels next year, Jeff.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, that was interesting. Jade City took place over about a year and a half amount of time. And as Jade War opens up, it's been almost a year since Jade City's finale, basically. And Jade War actually takes place over like 4 or 5 years. So a big difference there. We're talking about, one novel takes place over about 3 or 4 times the length of the first novel. So a lot more time for things to kind of like gel and coalesce, but at the same time, Jade War like feels like super fast paced. Where, as I told you before, like Jade City was one of those. The reason why I didn't like it, for the first half, 60% of the novel was it was interesting. It was a nice setting. They were building things up, but it was just so slow paced. Jade War never feels that way. Jade War, I saw one reviewer say you wouldn't change a single sentence in Jade War, which I thought was kind of a weird thing to say. But,
said what? You cut out there.
I saw a reviewer named Daniel Green say that he would not change a single sentence in Jade War, which I thought was kind of an odd thing to say. But I do think Jade War is a fantastic novel.
Well, looking at the ratings and reviews online, this is getting 8.5, 4.5, 5, 5 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5, 8.5 out of 10. Here's a 9 out of 10. Here's a 10 out of 10 from different websites and their rating structures.
Yeah.
So
I would probably give it 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it looks like it's really well received. And people are really enjoying it.
I think I gave Jade City a 7 out of 10, so it's quite a jump there. wouldn't necessarily say it was a perfect novel like I would say Shadow of the Gods, but I thought it was very, very good. And well, no, it's beyond that. It's great. It's a great novel. You know, that's what happens, guys. We have kids and dogs. You know, things can happen. You know, we're can't pay attention all the time. So,
Uh,
um,
yeah, sorry about that. He's needy right now. You were saying?
I was saying I think Jade War probably a 9 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
Whereas Jade City was like a 7 out of 10, and I don't think it's a perfect novel like I thought Shadow of the Gods was, but I think it's great. You know, it really is a great book. And
Well, enlighten me. Where are we at? Where are we at with these magical jades? And you know, the ending of you said it's about a year later. So do they give a little backstory of what happened in that year, or did we just jump forward?
not really. It's kind of there's been just kind of like minor skirmishes between the two clans in that time frame. Basically, Barrow has tried to get Glon's Jade from his grave a few more times, and been been rebuffed by like the like guards and things like that, where he's kind of had to and they but as the book opens up, he's actually like going into um he's trying to get into Lon's grave again to get the Jade that was buried with him. Remember, Barrow was the street kid from the first book.
Right.
And the way the first book ended was he was throwing the attempt to try to get it, but actually this actually is like his third or fourth attempt trying to get it, because he's either been pushed, you know, there's been guards that scared him off, um, or it's been like other things have, I guess, kind of, you know, or I think like one time we tried to get him, he didn't have the right tools, so he couldn't get Jade out of there, and you know that kind of stuff. But this time he like pays off one of the cemetery workers to go in there, and he's able to get the Jade off that way. And then of course he kills the cemetery worker, so the cemetery worker can't turn them in for stealing the Jade out of there. You know.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So
Hilo's as the book opens, also Hilo's wife is pregnant, so the former Torch, now I'm sorry, the former it's not Torch, what the hell is it? Um, I can't remember. Oh my God. Go
uh,
ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, that you're in the middle of an update, but since you're kind of paused here thinking, is there an update on the petty thief who decided to get out of crime by becoming a pimp and a murderer?
Um, no, that was a different book.
Was that a different book?
Yeah, that
Oh,
yeah, that was
I don't,
uh
oh, that was the really
who
bad
stopped
one.
that was who stopped the raid.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. Now I gotta do better note taking, or maybe
Funny.
actually take notes. Yeah, I don't know why I
Yeah.
got that guy confused, because this was the one, like, I don't know, well, obviously you remember, but for the audience, um, this is the one where one dude became like super dude because he had like 47,000 jade around his neck, and then died by by drowning after an
Yes.
epic battle. After an
Yes.
epic battle.
Exactly. Same guy. Um, trying to remember that. I'm trying to remember that. Like, I can't believe I just totally forgot. Like the clan. Like I know there's the Pillar and the Weatherman. I'm trying to think of what Hilo's title was originally before he became um, um, the Pillar.
And this is another reason why I like this story, is because it's always nice, like Godfather-esque. That's kind of what this is, where you've got the crime family who's actually the good guys, which is
Well,
kind of weird
yeah, they are for sure.
because they're battling the even worse crime family.
Can't believe I can't remember this. Just the Horn. He was the Horn. So yeah, so he was the Horn, and then when Lon died, like you said, by drowning because he fell into a river.
After an epic battle, after
Well, not even an epic battle. He was shot at by a couple of kids with machine guns. He was able to deflect all that stuff away, but
then he fell in the lake and drowned.
but he was so weakened by the SG-1 that he had taken too much of that he was kind of like drugged out and he fell into the river and passed out and drowned. Yeah. So the Horn Hilo becomes the pillar, and as this book is opening up, his wife is like 6 months pregnant or something. So he ends up having a son. And then, but he also finds out as they're cleaning out, he has been reluctant to change out Lon's office. Because he still kind of feels like it's his older brother's, space. He hasn't really felt comfortable being the pillar, but now, again, it's been over a year. So he starts, kind of becoming comfortable being the pillar. And he's like, well, I guess we better start packing up Lon's stuff, and I better change it to my office. And they come across a letter that Lon never opened from his ex-wife. And it turns out that his ex-wife has had Lon's child in the meantime. And Lon's son was actually 6 months old at the time that Lon had died. But Lon had never opened the letter, so he didn't know about the existence of his son. And Hilo and his wife are pretty insistent that. So what had happened previously is that Lon's wife had an affair on him, and because of his status in the clan, he could have insisted that she stay married to him. He could have had her fiance killed, and that would have just been the end of it. But because of who Lon was, he decided not to do that. He would just let her divorce him and go live with her new lover. Well, she had known she was pregnant, but she was hoping that she was pregnant by her lover and not by her husband. But it was clear when by the features of him that he was actually Lon's kid and not her lover's kid. Hilo had tracked down her location, and he told Lon, "Okay, I got her location. I'll go kill her for you." And Lon said, "No, if I wanted you to kill her, I would have told you to go kill her." So Hilo and Wen, his wife, are they're like, well, we got to get this kid back over here. He's Lon's kid. He should be growing up here in Xianlun and not overseas in, I can't remember the country, but it's kind of like the analog to like Australia would be in that area, right? So the ex-wife doesn't respond to, no, she responds to Wen's letter after like 6 weeks, and she's like, nah, I'm good. And then so Wen's like, yeah, she didn't respond. She was really rude to me in her letter. So I think you need to handle this yourself, Hilo. And she encourages Hilo to fly over to this country and talk to Lon's ex-wife and try to convince her to bring, at least so that to bring the kid back with her and her fiance and her now, I think now husband maybe, and let her know that it's okay to that he can be they can be part of the clan basically. So Hilo flies over, lets her know all this stuff, but she remembers Hilo from when Hilo was a younger, hot-headed individual, and she is really resistant to the idea. She tells, but Hilo kind of convinces her husband or lover, I can't remember if they're actually married or not, but that they should, that maybe we can have Nico, that's the name of the nephew, Lon's kid, Hilo's nephew, live with us for maybe half the year, and then he could live with you guys the other half of the year, and then we give you guys a break and then if you had other children, that would give you some time with your other children and that kind of stuff too. And the guy's like, yeah, that's an interesting idea. And Hilo's like, well, why don't we talk about it over dinner in a couple of days? Well, the timeline gets sped up a little bit, and because it's the thing happening in Xianlun, And so Hilo goes over to the house to talk to her again and finds that she's packing all her stuff. They were actually going to leave the country without even talking to them about Nico joining them. And Hilo's like, that's kind of a acceptable, snaps her neck and takes Nico back to Shamoon with him and tells his pillarmen, his second in command, basically to wait for the husband to get home, kill him, and then torch the place. So
Well,
this,
at least
so,
at
so
least
it,
at least we're a little bit past the family drama that was happening, and now at least there's murder, I
yeah.
guess.
So Hilo ends up. So Hilo and they take Nico in and they're racing him. They're letting him know. Nico, your dad is Lon, not me, Hilo. Um, but um, but basically they're raising him along with their son, and when ends up getting pregnant again. So it actually ends up that now Hilo is raising three kids. Lon's kid, his son, and then his daughter. Um, Also, the Mountain Clan and the No Peak Clan have a truce because they want to get the jade production going again, which has stopped since the war started. And they need to get, but they need to get the jade production going again. They need the jade for themselves. They need the jade to get the keep the economy going. It's their job to make sure that KCON is protected that way. So the war is over, but there's still kind of like a cold war going on in the back between, where things are happening that way. And Hilo is trying to encourage a businessman that has association with the Mountain Clan to take over the clan from the pillar for that pillar over there, Ido, and to basically take over and overthrow that pillar. Meanwhile, the pillar from the Mountain Clan and the torch of the Mountain Clan, I'm sorry, the torch, the horn of the Mountain Clan are trying to convince, or they do like put in motion a plan with this smuggler to try to take out Hilo, and kill him that way. So they're still working against each other, just kind of in the background, like like moving pieces around, trying to get things to be taken care of that way. So in doing this, also one of the things that the Mountain Clan is doing is they reveal that Shay, the weatherman, Hilo and Lon's sister, used to work as a spy for another government, like a foreign government. And they say that she was a spy for them against us, and she gave away all these state secrets of KCON to this other government, which was not true. She was just working, as a spy, like in other countries for them. So as this progresses, Shay is having like this emotional roller coaster going on, where she also falls in love with the guy, but because the guy is not full Pekingese, and she becomes pregnant with his baby, and she's like, well, I love him, but he can never be part of the clan. He would never accept being part of the clan. He's not really a full Greenbone, or even a full Pekingese. She decides that she's gonna have an abortion. So she has the abortion. She's getting all this stuff going against her from the media, from the clan, and so she challenges the head of the Mountain Clan to a clean blade, which means that to a duel to the death, basically. Shay loses.
How does the blade get clean?
Well, the idea is that once you've killed your rival, that you cleaned your blade by getting rid of all that bad blood between the two. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is really kind of turning into a normal sequel to a great movie. It's so many kids, and it feels like it's a little more slow moving than the ending of the first one, but you said that this one is faster
No,
pace.
it feels really faster.
Maybe I just can't get into the whole kid constant. It's all about the kids, basically.
That part of it.
So far, so
I was
far.
just bringing that up. Um, so then she has a battle with again with the leader of the mountain clan, and it's typically a battle to the death. But she gets disarmed, and she's like sliced across her abdomen, and she's like basically on her knees about ready to die, and the pillar of that clan decides, well, you've been humiliated, and I told you that you would live to see your clan be destroyed by my clan, so I'll let you I'll let you live. So that's what happens there,
It was very
and
nice of him.
her,
Her. It was very nice of
yeah,
her
it was, wasn't it?
to let you live to see everyone else you love die.
Yeah, Ait Madashi is her name. Yeah, so instead of killing her, she basically, and that like basically cleans both of their blades as well, because now their one-on-one rivalry is kind of over. They stop going after Shay in the media and that kind of stuff. So it does solve it in that way, but she could have been killed. Um, meanwhile, so she ends up. I'm kind of segmenting this out, so I apologize for that. But so it turns out that the smuggler that Ait Madashi was working with behind the scenes um, has had one of his people approach Shay's lover, who she had the abortion of, right? Um, whose baby she had the abortion of, about basically said, threatening him with killing his family if he doesn't help a couple of people sneak into um, the Call's house under guise of having a meeting with Hilo. So they plant. So these two people that sneak in there, they plant a bomb on Hilo's car. Well, Hilo was still in the meeting, so he was supposed to be in the car to go pick up Wen and the kids from the park, but he actually ends up sending his brother-in-law Ken, who is also who is now the new Horn after he became the Pillar, to go pick up Wen and the kids. Well, Ken gets out of the car to go, basically to go meet them outside the car, and the car explodes. And it kills Ken, but not the kids or Wen. And so Wen, basically makes a promise. You, you know, Wen makes Hilo promise, being that it was his brother-in-law and her brother that was killed in the explosion, and that she and the kids could have been killed too, and that he will stop at nothing to get the person responsible for it, right? And so ends up finding out that who it was, that it was the smuggler guy that was behind it all. And so they set a plan in motion to go kill the smuggler guy.
I don't,
Go ahead.
I don't know why, but this one just doesn't feel as fun as the ending of the last one.
Well, I'm getting there.
Okay, because it
Okay.
just so far the lead-in has been more about, because I know this book series is likened to The Godfather.
Mhm.
It's Godfather with magic, basically. Um,
In
the
an Asian
first,
culture.
yeah, the first book, I got that feeling, but not as deeply as I'm getting getting it in this one. This so far, what you've explained to me is it's more like in an actual crime drama, um, where we're spending so much time on the family and not much time on the actual war.
Yeah, it's kind of a, I guess, but I don't know. I guess the way that it reads is better than this. I guess I don't know. Um,
It's just an observation. It feels almost like it's like the beginning of Jade City was really, really slow because it was setting up a story, and I'm getting that same feeling out of this one. It feels like the beginning of it is setting up the story.
I think it's setting up the story. The whole. I don't know. I did not feel like
But
this one was.
you know what I mean?
So
Okay,
I do. I do. Yeah.
maybe it's
Um,
just what I'm viewing out of it. I mean, not saying that it wasn't bad or anything. It's just that it feels more like they're focusing on the family drama than the war itself.
well, right, because it's called Jade War, but at the same time, the war kind of ends like in the first couple of chapters of this book. No, and that was
Okay.
everything's kind of like behind the scenes where it's still they're still really at war. They just kind of have a they're still not actually having battles, and they're as far as the public is concerned, there's no war.
Yeah, this one feels a lot more like Godfather or Sopranos than the first one did.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
Um, yeah, so Andon, which remember is the cousin that also that came to live with with the Calls when he was young, so he's considered to be part of the family, basically like the more like their little brother than the cousin. Um, refused at the end of Jade City to wear Jade because he felt like he was going to become like addicted to it and become like an evil monster by wearing it just because of his personality. So he actually is living in a foreign country, and he meets the Pillar over there, and the Pillar's having a problem with these gangs that are over in that country. So he asked Andon to talk to his cousins about intervening to help. So Hilo comes over, and he's able to get the gangs um, to stop basically interfering with the clan over there. The kind of clan was not really a clan like is in KCON by selling them cheap. So basically, he becomes kind of a criminal enterprise between those two. Um, and that's also the same country where they're actually able to end up finding the smuggler. Okay, so they have it set up so that the smuggler is going to be assassinated by it's going to be set up by Andon, and it's going to pretend to be a reporter interviewing him because he's also like a famous businessman at the same time as being a smuggler. But then the horn of the clan over in that country is going to be the one that actually does the killing because they're going to sneak in some Jade into that hotel room. Okay. Um, and at the last, and then a couple of things then kind of happen all at once as this is being set up. The first thing is that Wen has traveled also over to that country. Wen is, remember, Hilo's wife and the mother of his kids, has traveled over to that country to smuggle in some Jade and help some stuff get set up with the business that they've set up over there as kind of a front. And so she's actually in that country as things are starting to go on, even though she's not part of actually being part of that plan. She just happens to be in the country at that same time. Also, around this on the same day, this is when this businessman that Hilo had talked to before about taking over the mountain clan, right, Madashi, has decided to started to put his plan into motion to install his son as the pillar. So in order to do that, I should say the day before. So the day before he did that, so he works on. But it turns out that the mountain man has found out this is going to happen. So they kill the son and a couple of the son's fists, and then they actually go to the businessman's office, and they threaten to, and they make him sell his company to a foreign company that's going to keep doing business with them, and they threatened that they're going to kill him for sure. And but he says, well, if you, I will sign it over to you if you promise not to kill my family. And Knight
Well, they're
Madashi, and
criminals that they're gonna kill the family regardless.
yeah, and Knight Madashi says, um, I cannot agree to that. I will not. I will kill. Your sons are going to die, but I will let you. But I will let your wife and your children and your daughters live. So
That
all
was
the
very nice of him.
yeah, so all the males of the family are dead, but she does let the wife and the two daughters leave the country in exile, but still remain alive. Um, so the new Horn that took over after Ken was killed by the car explosion calls Hilo and tells him that happened, right? So calls and tells Hilo what has gone down, and Hilo is on the phone with him, and he's like, "Well, shit. Then that means that," or basically tells him like, the son is the older son is dead, the younger son is dead, and the businessman was killed. And he was like, "Oh well, he must have fucked up trying to take over the clan then, right?" And he's like telling him like next instructions, and then his nephew comes running over and says, um, I can't remember the name of the son, but he's like, there's something really wrong going on. And he was like, what? He's like, Uncle Hilo, I need you. And Hilo's like, he sees like the look in Nico's eyes. And he's like, okay, I gotta go. And he hangs up, and it turns out that his son and his nephew were playing in the office and had found an envelope full of jade. And the son had swallowed some jade, which can be really deadly and dangerous to a greenbone child, because it can like make you like it can like make you like super like overexposed to that radiation before you're ready for it, before your body can handle it. So Hilo has to rush his he leaves his daughter with the housekeeper, but he runs his but the nephew is like, I got to go with you, I got to go with you, because he feels so guilty because they had been playing in the office, and the son had put the had put the stone in his mouth, but the nephew had held his hand over the kid's mouth so he couldn't spit it out, so he ended up swallowing it. So Hilo goes to the hospital, and he's waiting for a call from Andon, talking, to tell him, things are all set with the stuff going on in the other country to kill the smuggler, right? So it turns out that Hilo finds out in the course of this, um, they bring his son in for surgery or like a procedure to remove the jade from his. He's got two small pieces of jade in his belly, so they have he's gonna have a procedure to do that. So he ends up calling Andon because Andon can't get a hold of him, because remember, talking about like this like in the 80s, early 90s, but there's no cell phones, there's no internet, all that kind of stuff. So he calls over there and he finds out that things have changed, that the smuggler has made a last minute change, and instead of agreeing to go to Andon's room where they've hidden the jade at to do the interview, he's insisting on doing it in his own hotel room with no with his bodyguards present. So there's really no way for them to sneak the jade in there for the Horn to be able to get the jade to be able to fight and kill the smuggler and his bodyguards, right? So Hilo's like, okay, well, what else can we do? And he's like, well, is there any way we can like have room service sneak it in? Like can we set that up? Can we have like a room service to bring it in for us or something? And that was the end. Is like was like, no, they're gonna be suspicious. It's never gonna work, right? And so he was like, no, we got to call it off. There's just no way to do this. He talks to Shay, he talks to Andon. He's like, yeah, there's just no way we can pull this off. Well, he ends up, and then as he gets off the phone, the doctor comes, and doctor has like an anxious look on his face. He's like, well, so Hilo thinks, well, what happened to my kid? Because you got this anxious look on your face, and oh no, your son is fine, but I have to tell you, he's a stone eye. Remember, if you remember from the last one, stone eye means that they don't have the ability to use the jade. So, so it turns out
So
his son,
he's a greenhorn that can't use the jade.
he was born from a green bone family, but just
A
like his
green bone, yeah.
mom, just like his mom, remember, his mom is a stone eye also. So just like his
Okay.
mom, he's not going to be able to have any jade abilities going forward.
And
So
refresh
he,
my
he
mind, what are the jade abilities again?
um, super strength, deflection, telepathy, empathy, all kinds of things.
Okay.
You get also like healing abilities as well.
Okay. Except
Um,
when you fall into a lake, clearly.
well, if you drown yourself, clearly, but it's healing other people and healing yourself.
Oh,
You do heal faster if you have the ability to heal people using their jade abilities. Okay.
okay.
So Hilo's been trying to get a hold of his wife at her hotel to let her know what's going on with the son and everything. Um, and she finally calls him back at the hospital because she finally gets back to her hotel room, and he explains everything that's going on with his son, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. This is my fault." He's like, "No, it's not your fault. We knew it was a possibility. I knew, marrying you, that you were a stone eye. I mean, it's not your fault. Don't feel bad about it." But then he also explains to her that the plan with the smuggler has fallen through. She's like, "No, you promised me we would get him." He's like, "Yeah, we still will get him. It's just not going to work this time, when it's just, And she's like, "Well, then when are we going to get him?" It's like, "I don't know. Some other opportunity will come up. We can't risk it right now. There's just no way to do it." So, she hangs up with him. She calls Shay, the weatherman, remember? So, the sister, and she's like, um, "What if we do this?" And Shay's like, um, "Well, that goes against what Hilo wanted, and Hilo wouldn't want you involved in this." And Wen's like, "Yeah, but it was my brother that he killed. It's my family he's threatening, and we can't get a hold of Hilo anymore because he's leaving he's left the hospital. We can't have no way of getting a hold of him. So, so the situation has changed from when he said we can't do it." And Shay knows that by agreeing to this, she's like threatening her relationship with her brother, threatening her relationship with the clan, but she agrees to Wen's plan. So Wen's plan is basically that she will pose as Andon's assistant because she is a stone eye. She can carry jade on her and it won't have any reaction. So they won't be able to tell that there's any jade on her at all. So
So she's basically going to be a jade mule.
yes.
Okay.
Yep. And she has been doing this for the clan already, but this time she's going to do it for the assassination.
Okay.
So that plan works. Okay, so they do go in there, they do kill the smuggler. All that's set up, but when they go back to the place we're supposed to meet, because they need to get all three of them out of the country after this assassination, well, the gang that Hilo had sold the jade to is waiting there for them, and basically they kill the horn. They kill Wen, and then but the pillar of in that country gets there in time to save Andon. And Andon, who remember has sworn he's never going to wear jade anymore. He grabs the jade that Wen had had with her before, because it had been in a duffel bag at this point, and they weren't able to get to it. That's why they were able to kill the horn so easily and to kill Wen. And Andon, grabbed the jade and he resurrects Wen because it had only been a couple of minutes and she had been strangled with a garrote. So so he grabs the jade and he's actually able to bring her back to life, but she does have some brain damage, and she does have like she has some paralysis.
The jade powers are starting to become kind of like the Force in the final 3 Star Wars movies, where they're developing new powers to make the story go forward for the convenience.
Well, it's her her life essence had not left her body completely. So he was able to use the jade to heal her, whereas he was not able to do that with the horn because the horn had been too long.
And
His
he was
lesson
in
left his
little
body.
pieces, and he was in little pieces after being blowed up.
No, I mean the horn that was. I mean the horn over there that was scared and then did
Oh,
the
okay.
assassination.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
Okay, yeah, but it's like I said, it's starting to become like every time I hear a new Jade power, it's like, well, that was convenient.
yeah, it's a bit of a hard magic system. At the same time, it's not really defined as to what each power could do. So
Ah,
in that way, it is like kind of flexible.
yeah. So it's like the
But you don't have
Force in the
like
final three Star Wars.
but you also don't have like 40 years of history that Star Wars did, like showing what the Force can do, and then just deciding all of a sudden out of the blue, oh yeah, you can do this too. You know,
Yeah, the
so,
math. Yeah, somebody just shows up and is all of a sudden not only a master, but the most powerful Force master ever to take down ships and heal things and just anyway. Continue.
so basically, what this results in is after she finally hears from Andon, that um, what's going on, she goes and tells Hilo what they did, and that results in a big knockdown drag out battle between Hilo and Shay because he's fucking pissed off that she put his
Finally,
wife in that kind of danger when it gets his word,
finally,
and then
I've
go
been
ahead,
waiting this whole book for a knockdown drag out fight
between a brother and a sister.
between anybody. I wouldn't have cared if it was the babies battling at this point.
Yeah. So they fight each other, and he was like, "You never want to be my weatherman anyway. Well, now you're not my weatherman anymore. You're free." And she's like, "I'm not going anywhere. I gave as much to this plan as you did. I lost my fiance, or I lost my lover. I had an abortion to protect this clan. I almost died to protect this clan. I'm not going anywhere." And so that's basically how and then the book basically ends after Ait Madashi meets Shay in the temple, and she's like, and they basically like agree that the war continues. So yeah, so just
So we bookended it with wars. Like the war was going on in the beginning, now it's going on again at the end.
well, it's still kind of like Cold War going on in the back. They basically agree like, yeah, the war's never going to end until one of our clans is gone.
Okay. Yeah, this one, we're the first one. Like I said, the first one was like Godfather with magic. It really picked up after they built the story. This one just seems like, just from my perspective, if I was watching this on an actual movie, I don't know if I would have been as into this one as I would have been the first one. Just because it took a more Godfathery turn and not so much about the magical jade.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it ended up being more of a story about the family and the offspring and um, the just intertwining of the family and their how awful people they are.
Yeah, I didn't even tell you about Anne's finding true love with a guy over in country he was in. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, this is definitely Godfather 2. Because Godfather 2 was more based around the family and the rise of Michael Corleone and his father. There was a lot of story of Marlon Brando's character. Um,
Vito.
In the first one, I can't remember who played him in the second one. Was it De Niro?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of the feeling I get from this one, whereas probably would be an all-time classic and an epic story. But it feels to me a lot more Godfather 2-esque, where the first one felt a little more like um, I don't know how to even place it, kind of a Star Wars / Godfather type thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I like this book better than I like the first one, and I think a lot of it just because there wasn't all that setup going on. We already knew what was going on, and we could move forward in the character. I think there was better characterization of the characters too in this one. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it sounds like there's different characters that I probably could sink my teeth into, and really get into their story. it's just not what I was expecting with the way that first one ended.
Um, the other thing I think is kind of funny is I saw another reviewer for this say that you know they might like the story better. This is one that didn't like Jade City, so I don't think she continued with Jade War, but she
Yeah.
said that um, she might like the story better if it was told from the perspective of the Mountain Clan rather than from the, the No Peak Clan. That those characters felt more
Well,
interesting, and they kind of
yeah.
do. You know,
Well, and that's what I was going to say too, is that the Mountain Clan were the good guys, right?
the Mountain Clan are the bad guys.
Which clan is the one that is helping their city?
The No Peak Clan, the one we're
Okay.
following.
Oh, the one we're following. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if they'd done like a half and half, like, let's take this chapter from the perspective of the good guys, and then this chapter from the perspective of the bad guys. I can see where she's coming with that. Because it'd be nice to get to know the enemy characters a little more than just from the perspective of the good guys.
Yeah. And
I think this,
we get very little of that. I mean, there's maybe
yeah.
like a few pages here and there, but yeah, there's not much going on there.
I mean, as it stands now, the only things we really know about the bad guys is what we see through the eyes of the good guys. And I'm sorry, not really remembering the families and all that, but um,
You've seen Kill Bill, right?
yeah, yep,
I always think of like Madashi as being like Lucy Liu's character in Kill Bill because
okay,
because she was that's kind of what she did she killed like her father died and then she wasn't going to inherit the clan even though she was the oldest child, and so she like basically just killed all of his lieutenants and her brother in order to take over the clan, which is exactly kind of what Lucy Liu's character did in
yeah, true.
Kill Bill. So
Well, and I mean, if you look at like some of the best movies of all time, it's very rarely just centered the entire movie on one character or one or two characters, and everything we see is from their eyes. They always give us scenes here and there of the bad guys setting up why they're bad.
yeah.
In this book, it felt more like they were bad because you're telling us they're bad. We don't actually get to see their perspective and things that they're doing that helps us as a audience to understand, oh yeah, they're assholes, they need to go.
Yeah, I mean there are some scenes like they do break ice show, which is their code of honor to kill a politician because there's a rule there that if you wear green you cannot wear gold basically. So um, if you are a green bone you cannot hold public office because you
Ah,
so kind of like the same rule as Jupiter's Legacy, right? We don't rule, but here that's really is the case where if you wear green, if you do wear jade, then you cannot um be any like a counselor or the chancellor or any of that stuff.
and
Well,
it's somebody in power. You can't have a hold a position of power.
right, and also and then part of that ISO um code of conduct is you don't also use jade abilities against somebody who doesn't have jade abilities. Well, the Mountain Clan does that in order to kill politicians so they can get a law passed that they want passed.
Okay, so yeah,
Um,
they're
yeah,
established assholes now.
yeah,
Now we hate them.
yeah. Uh,
Shocking that a crime family is breaking the rules.
it is kind of yeah, they're breaking the rules, but also you know in one sense like the No Peak Clan is doing everything that they're doing because of what the Mountain Clan has done to them. The Mountain Clan is doing everything they're doing because they truly believe that what they're doing is going to be for the betterment of KCON. So it really is kind of a like a gray scenario. This is one where I wouldn't mind like a fourth book where it kind of summarizes the first three books, but at the same time shows you know each step the Mountain Clan took and why they took internally within their organization.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's the part that's lacking right now from this book is it's got this, for me, it doesn't have as much action as I would have liked. It's more focused on the family drama and everything. But I think it's really lacking just the perspective from the other side. So I kind of agree with that, with what that one reviewer said, is that I don't think the whole book should have been from the other side, because we still need to follow the family that we're rooting for from the beginning, from the first book. But
Mhm.
at the same time, just some maybe extended the 3, 4 chapters devoted specifically to the bad guys, the Mountain Clan, just to kind of get a feeling for what they are. Like
Yeah,
you
I guess
said,
what I guess what I kind of envision with that, with the fourth book that I'm suggesting here is kind of, what was that one series, that the Divergent series? Remember the Divergent series of
yeah,
books and movies where they had that fourth book come out that wasn't that didn't continue the story, but it was told from the perspective of four. It was called Four, and it was told from his perspective, um, so that you kind of see like what he was thinking that whole time instead of whatever the main character was thinking the whole time.
I don't know
So
if I ever saw the other Divergent movies. I think I only saw the first one.
I don't think they ever. I'm not sure. I think they made three of them, didn't they?
I don't know.
There's four. There's four books in the series, but it's really a trilogy. And then the fourth book is told. It tells the same story, but from another perspective. That's what I'm kind of envisioning when I say like a fourth book here. Like, you know, maybe they could call the Jade. Maybe they could call that one Jade Mountain or something. You know.
Yeah, they're okay. No, no, I have seen them now that I remember the titles, because the Allegiant
Okay.
was where she finally broke um into the whatever tower, capital, whatever, and took everything over.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I remember this now.
Yeah. So there's Divergent, um, Insurgent, and Allegiant, and then I don't think they made the. I don't think they made the fourth book into a movie, but
It
that one was just
it
called Four.
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't look like it. It looks like they only made the 3.
Yeah.
I thought Miles Teller was in Hunger Games too.
I think he was. I think you're right.
I know because he played Peter in this one, and I really remember him from this one. But he was also uh, Fantastic Four, wasn't he? Reed Richards.
Maybe. I don't know. All right. So I mean, I really enjoyed this book. I would definitely recommend this one. And I mean, you'd have to read Jade City to, really dig into this one fully. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Jade, what she does in Jade Legacy too. Because Jade Lake, because it's, just from the title of that one, it kind of feels like it's going to be like a time jump, doesn't it? Like they're going to time
Yeah,
jump to where the kids are older, and they're ready to like kind of roll into being part of the clan. Or does it mean that they're going to set it up so that the kids have a better legacy going forward than they had? I don't know, but it's interesting.
yeah. I mean, it does sound interesting. It's just there's a few things I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of in it, but it does sound like it was still a good book. Just not what I was expecting, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. The title Jade War does make it sound like it's be a lot more action.
Well, and like I said, with the way that the first one ended, I thought we would be rolling right into continuing that story, not time jumping all around and um, really not having any war.
Yeah, I
So
totally agree with it. I totally see where you're coming from with that. But yeah, I yeah, it is kind of a weird title for what actually did happen. I guess
right,
it's
right.
more like a Jade Cold War than a Jade Real War.
I mean, this would have been a good one
Jade
to
Jade
title,
Jade Detente would have been a good title.
or even Jade Legacy. Because this story is more about developing the family than it is the overarching story of the war.
Right.
It just feels like they're creating offspring. They're it's just more about I can kind of see where she's going with this when it was written, because it feels like she's really trying to explain the family and why the family is the family. Um, I just think there should have been more involved in it, a little more war, a little more from the other people's perspective. She could have told, some of the family becoming the story through the eyes of the mountain clan by how much they hate them and why.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I don't know. I guess even with that, I still think this is a fantastic book.
Oh yeah.
I would just like what I would now think about it, I would like to see more of that. But I guess sometimes you can have a book where just the good people are the good people, and the bad people are the bad people. You don't need to see all the perspectives.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, it does sound like, and like you said, it was fast paced. You enjoyed it. You enjoyed the read and everything, so it's a win. She definitely did her job, had you hooked, and had you enjoy it. And like you said, when you look at the reviews online, people love it.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of people that very high ratings across the board. I didn't see anything that would even slightly suggest this book was even mediocre.
yeah. I haven't really looked at Goodreads, I guess, much for this, but I would be surprised if you've read Jade City that Jade War would review that you would rate low. So
Yeah, I mean, this one and the average rating on Goodreads was 4.5 out of 5.
are there
So
any like one star? Are there any more like 1-star ratings on Goodreads for it?
I didn't see any.
Okay.
I just kind of glanced through it and didn't see any. It was most of them were 4 and 5.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that it wouldn't be like
And
that.
I think I saw 3 in there, but I'll have to go back and look.
936 reviews.
Right, and that's the other thing that I noticed is with the amount of reviews that they have to have it that high
Yeah,
is
that's
impressive.
amazing. Because it has a
I mean,
4.46 average rating, which is just outstanding. Outstanding.
here on Amazon, 430 reviews, rating of 4.7. Goodreads 4,602 votes, 4.5 rating.
Yeah.
So it's well reviewed and people are really enjoying. So it's not. It clearly, she clearly did something right.
I
Jesus,
did I did I
4,000.
did I did just find a 2-star review.
Yeah, but out of 4,602,
Yeah.
that many votes to only have a couple of, just going through here on the reviews. You have 5-star, 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 4-star, 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 5-star, 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 5-star. This guy said it would be a 6-star if he could rate it. 5-star, 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 4-star. Oh, here's a 3-star. Now we're back to 5 stars again.
Yeah.
And it's just like ridiculous how many people are rating this high.
And the funny thing is, like, a couple of them that I saw that were 2 or 3 stars were basically saying the same thing about this one that I said about the first one, that it was slow and dry. So it's weird. All right. Yeah. So guys, read these 2 books and then get ready for like I said, 6 months down the line, we have the 3rd book in the trilogy. No,
So the 3rd book it's not out yet. It's coming out.
November 30th.
Okay. So it hasn't been released yet. Okay. If at any time you enjoyed this, or even if you didn't enjoy it, just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, give a listen to our other shows that are on here. We come out with our wrestling show every Monday, our pop culture show every Wednesday, and this is every Friday. And I guess I can't really talk about the other 2 shows because it's going to air after those 2 are released. But go ahead and hit all the buttons that make us happy.
So next week we'll probably talk about Noble Beginnings.
What's it called?
Noble Beginnings.
Noble Beginnings.
by LT Ryan.
Okay. I'll have to
Okay.
Google.
Yeah, it's kind of a Jack Reacher clone-ish of the book. So
Noble Beginnings, right?
yeah, by LT Ryan.
Novel by LT, a Jack Noble novel. Who the hell is Jack Noble?
Well, that's the character in the Noble Beginnings.
A
This is
Jack
the first.
Noble
It's the
thriller.
first. It's the first book of the series.
All right, Amazon's giving it 4-star. Ooh, Goodreads 3.8 star. Barnes and Noble's a 4-star. Okay, okay. All right. It's the first of 13 Jack Noble trilogies.
Jack Noble
Thrillers?
series. Yeah.
13 books. Ooh, we're going to be in Iraq. Following a Marine. Love it. Excited.
All right. Cool.
Excited to hear
All right,
about this
guys.
one.
All right, guys. Be well. We'll talk to you on Monday for some wrestling talk with Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor. Bye now.